Good afternoon, folks. It's Saturday afternoon after the opening day on Friday of the Vernon schools, and I just wanted to report out on the soft opening that we did post-reconfiguration in order to make sure that we get as much information out to our parents as possible. There was many great things going on during the school day yesterday, but there was also hiccups that we encountered, and we wanted to make sure we addressed them in a quick manner so that we get all this information out to our parents. So I'm going to show you a PowerPoint, and in the PowerPoint I'm going to review some of the things that have been going on with the different schools on the first day. And there was some real exciting things. There was an artist in Lounsbury, there was a cookout in Cedar Mountain, there was all sorts of activities up at the high school. But there was also problems with transportation, there was problems with schedules at Glen Meadow, and there was a little problem at Rolling Hills and Cedar Mountain that turned into a significant one with the timing of the buses going home. So I wanted to fill you in on all of that and make sure that we got this information out. Once again, I'm with Matt Shea, as always, and the two of us are here on Saturday evening, and we just want to get this information out to you. It will be out tonight so that you have it. Thank you.
So one of the wonderful things about the opening day of the Vernon Schools 2017-2018 was the staff, because it was a soft opening, the staff were all wearing their t-shirts. So I have a picture here on a beautiful day, and thank God for that, beautiful day at Lounsbury Hollow and our other schools. So here's a picture of the staff, and all of them are wearing their Lounsbury Hollow t-shirts. And here is the staff at Walnut Ridge as they were there to meet and greet our pre-K students just before they arrived. So they took the ultimate selfie. And at Rolling Hills, there was a cookout outside for lunch, and it was wonderful. Dr. Stumper organized the cookout, and the children were allowed to have some fun time, eat a hamburger or hot dog, or the lunch that they brought, and also to run around a little bit and get used to their school. And again, with a soft opening, the idea simply is for the children to have fun, to get acclimated at the school, to wear play clothes, and to enjoy their day before they get started with the rigors of school and the rules and attendance and all that goes with school on Monday. So Friday was a special day at Rolling Hills, as it was with all of our schools. At the high school, there was many days that we had different activities going on leading up to the first day at the high school. Which again was a soft opening with people wearing their t-shirts and the various Vernon gear. At the high school, there was a cookout for athletes and parents before the school opened. Mr. Foley ran that along with the coaching staff. It was a wonderful day. This is a picture of that in the new cafeteria. All the boys and girls enjoying themselves, and the parents getting together to talk about some of the great programs that we have here and to meet the coaches. And then the 9th grade academy, of course, had their orientation as well. The wonderful 9th grade academy they got together, they did some games outside. They also had a cookout and got to know their teachers who were on the 9th grade academy team. Now, at the high school on Monday, just to give everybody a heads up, that's the day that 1,000 Chromebooks will be given out. And this is a point of great pride for Matt Shea and his wonderful team because this is the chance to finally complete the dream that we put in place actually 5 years ago, in which we wanted grades 4 through 12 to have Chromebooks that they could use every day. So Matt will be going through the rules with them, talking about the responsibilities of having the Chromebooks, and our high school students, all grades, will now have Chromebooks. Now in Lounsbury Hollow on the opening day, this great artist came in, and what he did was, while he did this chalk drawing, and it's, as you can see, life-size, he talked to the students about being the best they can be. So it was an assembly about students' behavior, students' academic achievement, etc. All the 4th graders came in for one of the artist renderings, and the 5th graders came in for the second artist rendering. This was the picture from the 5th grade, and the 4th grade was a Viking ship. And both of those are, hopefully we can spray them and firm them up and then put them up in the gym as a remembrance of this fine opening day at Lounsbury. And of course, our little school with the big heart is now 2 stories tall, and there's many great stories to come. as Cedar Mountain finds its new home and all of its new classrooms. And I want to thank all of our teachers, particularly the Cedar Mountain staff, but all of our teachers for their very hard work to get their classrooms ready the first 3 days and also in the summertime. And our maintenance staff and our custodial staff as they worked through all the issues that we had, the many hiccups that we had during the summertime in order to get ready with the reconfiguration. Glen Meadow students will all be getting their Chromebooks on Tuesday. So there's a major push at Glen Meadow to get those into the classroom. They are now in the classroom. The classrooms are all set. And Glen Meadow will be ready to go with their Chromebook rollout on Tuesday. Here's a picture of the classroom at Glen Meadow. And of course, they're created for student engagement. They may look very different from the classrooms that you and I sat in middle school, but the idea simply is for our students to be working on not only their soft skills, but being engaged in centers, working on differentiated work, and making sure that they are actively involved in every aspect of their education. Now, with the soft opening, and soft openings are basically designed so that you realize some of the things that you have to work on and then make sure that you fix them for a grand opening, or with any school opening, there were and are issues that needed to be resolved. And this is why Matt and I wanted to get this podcast out as quickly as we possibly could in order to answer some of the questions that people have put on social media and also have emailed us. So, the first one is the schedules on the first day at Glen Meadow. When they were doing the schedules at Glen Meadow, they put them all into the computer. And one of the things that's different about the Glen Meadow schedule is some of the social studies classes and language arts classes and math classes, instead of being one period, are actually a period and a half. So when they came up on the schedule, let's say it's period 3 and 4, the idea simply was that that young person's schedule, they had math for period 3 and then half of period 4, and then would move into another period in the second half of that period 4. But that didn't show up on all the schedules. As a matter of fact, there was 8 schedules in 6th grade, 12 student schedules in 7th grade, and I think there was 45 or 50 schedules in 8th grade in which it did not properly appear. So in order to fix that, our guidance staff at Glen Meadow, along with the secretaries at Glen Meadow and the administration at Glen Meadow, worked on this late into the night on Thursday evening. There were parents that got phone calls. Matter of fact, all the people who had the schedules affected were given a phone call saying that the schedules had to be changed for Friday morning. When the students came in on Friday morning, in 7th and 8th grade in particular, but a couple in 6th grade as well, they had to change the homerooms in order to make it work. That, of course, created a problem with the lockers. Because we want our students to have their lockers by their homeroom for the rest of the year, for the 179 days that are left, they had to reset the lockers and reset the combinations, which meant that some of our students didn't have a few of our students that had this schedule problem didn't have lockers on the first day at Glen Meadow. That is remedied, and we will be working with those students on Monday morning. I will be there as well to make sure that everyone has their locker by their new homeroom and that their schedule is set. So we want to apologize to any parent that was affected in 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade about the schedule change at the last minute and how it affected the schedule. So I will make sure personally, and also make sure with our staff, Mrs. Piszczak and of course Ms. Gudenkoff are working diligently on that as we speak, and that will be ready for Monday morning. Now, because of these changes, and because we had some last-minute enrollments, particularly at Glen Meadow, but also all over the district, there are classes that are now over 30 in Glen Meadow. In particular, there are 4 classes with a possibility of a 5th class that are now over 30 in Glen Meadow. We are going to remedy that on Monday by working with the students and trying to adjust the schedules. But if there's any changes in the schedules for any one of our students with the classes that are over 30, the parents, our parents, will be called, and we will make sure that you have approved the change for your student in order to make the class size under 30. So again, those changes will be made on Monday. Hopefully we'll get it done all day on Monday. And what we will try to do is make sure that everyone gets a phone call and we'll reach parents for their approval on any of the schedule changes in order to make the class less than 30. As I said, the locker issues at Glen Meadow were simply because of the homeroom changes. So if your child had a homeroom and let's say it was downstairs with Mrs. Truax, and then we had to move them upstairs with Mrs. Schmidt, the fact of the matter is, with the locker, we want to make sure the locker was next to that teacher's classroom. So we'll be working on that to make sure that the lockers are aligned with the homerooms and that your student have lockers next to their homerooms for the next 179 days. There was also a concern among some parents that there was gym lockers that were shared at Glen Meadow. The truth is that 7th and 8th grade do not share gym lockers at Glen Meadow. But there are some 6th grade students that will have to share the gym lockers at Glen Meadow. And we are working on that as well, but we'll see how that goes as we move through the year. All right. There were late bus arrivals from Rolling Hills and Cedar Mountain in the PM. I was there at Rolling Hills during dismissal, and I can tell you, retell you exactly what happened there. As the buses pulled into Rolling Hills, some of them were late. Not a lot of them, but a few of them. And because it seemed like the bus company had told the bus drivers that they wanted them lined in sequential order, some of the buses were hanging back towards the back of the lines, because there's 5 lines at Rolling Hills of buses, waiting for the other buses to arrive instead of pulling forward in the right row, but out of order. So we were waiting for those buses, and then we were maneuvering those buses, and Dr. Stumper and I refused to have the students out while the buses were still moving. So we waited. He then called for the dismissal, and the students came out. Now, anytime in the younger schools there is a dismissal on the first day, there is always confusion about the buses. But all of the students were given sticky notes from their teachers with their exact bus number. And the students came out. All of them found their buses. But then a few students who had come from daycare in the morning were a little bit confused about the buses, and we just had to confirm that and to allay their fears because they were a little bit nervous about not being on a different bus in the afternoon. And then the buses from Cedar Mountain went over, from Rolling Hills went over to Cedar Mountain, but they were very late. And Cedar Mountain students then got on the buses with the help of all the wonderful teachers there and Miss Rosemary Gebhardt. But again, with small children, you want to make sure that everybody's in the right place, and therefore the buses were late. We then made sure that our transportation department called and sent out a message to parents to make sure that they knew the buses were going to be late. We didn't do that before Cedar Mountain was ready to dismiss because we wanted to make sure we had the time right for the announcement. And we also took phone calls till about 6 o'clock at night from parents' concerns about either that their students had not come yet, but of course by 6 o'clock they had, but also that they were annoyed about this, and we tried to address their concerns and say that we will make sure that this is fixed for Monday. So I want to let everybody know that we're definitely working on the Rolling Hills Cedar Mountain connections with the buses for Monday. There was another concern on social media about the honors classes at the high school being over 30 students. There is only one honors class at the high school that's over 30 students. It's the algebra and geometry class. Mr. Rogers has approved it being over 30 because he wanted to make sure that 3 other students who desperately wanted to get into that class were put in that class. And that is the only honors class that's over 30. I've just checked with Mr. Lockeruba to make sure that that is indeed true, and that's what he has told me. Okay, transportation. There was a major issue with one bus that used Breakneck, and as we all know, our policy is that our buses will not use Breakneck Road. It seems that the bus company had a substitute driver who was not aware of the rules. Although we have grave concerns about that, we have lodged a complaint with the bus company. Mrs. Van Giltz and Mr. Kepnes have worked on this weekend, and that will not happen again. There was another bus that realized their mistake as they started down Barrett, and they turned around, but that of course caused consternation among some of our students and parents, And again, we promise you that these two things will not happen on Monday. And again, our apologies for that situation. Matt and I were just talking about the PowerSchool app, and there was a problem with PowerSchool, not with our app, but with PowerSchool, and not showing all the schedules for selected students on the first day. This was an isolated problem. It was not a school-wide problem, nor was it a grade-wide problem. It was just a couple of student schedules. We have told the parents, and we're telling you today that the PowerSchool app is fine now, and it's showing all schedules for our selected students. If there's any concerns about that, just let us know. Finally, something that, again, we've been intimately involved with and working diligently to try to correct or repair. Our German teacher, Frau Price, a wonderful teacher, has decided to leave the district and take a job in Sparta. So we are without a German teacher at the high school. There are presently 4 high schools in the region that are missing German teachers as they are in short supply. We have put an ad in the Star Ledger. We have put an ad in the German teachers webpage that they all use as a resource statewide, and we are having trouble finding a German teacher. So I've made contact with one German teacher who retired from our district, and we are working on a program where she would take over the German 3s and German 4s. We also have a program that we can use online for our German 2s that would be facilitated by our Italian teacher, Mrs. Simmons, who speaks German but doesn't have a German teaching cert. And she would, again, facilitate that program with an online program for our German 2s. We have surveyed our German 1 students and asked them if they had a choice, what language would they choose. Almost all of them have chosen Italian or Spanish, and therefore we have populated classes in Italian and Spanish to give them an option. And again, this is one of those solutions that had to be done quickly. The resignation came on August 30th, and we're doing the best we can with that situation. All right, so we'll be working on these issues this weekend and on Monday to try to resolve them. And as you can tell, we're hard at work trying to make sure that all of these things are taken care of. We apologize for the inconvenience or any concerns that parents have, and we'll try to make sure that everything gets done. And we thank you most of all for your patience.
So that's the information that we have for you right now. But again, if you have questions or concerns, you can send an email to me at cmckay1, the number 1, at VTSD.com, and I'll try to get to your questions on Monday. We have a lot to do on Monday to try to remedy some of the situations I just talked about, but we will be doing that, and I will try to get to those emails by Monday evening, and I will respond to you or give you a phone call. Okay, thanks very much, folks, and I hope it's a great year, and I hope to see you soon at one of our schools. Thank you.